about, especially when it comes to marriage and relationships, because we got to change the mindset of the people. We have to help them want to change their mindset because most people don't even understand where marriage comes from, let alone the duties of a marriage, the responsibilities of that man and that woman that's both involved in that so-called relationship called marriage. So we're gonna talk about some things today because hopefully we want to elevate some minds to try to help the people see past being girlfriends and boyfriends and side pieces and situationships. We want to try to change that mindset, and I know it's going to be hard because of what's going on out here in the world today, especially here in these United Snakes. I mean, these United States.
Right.
So I'm gonna ask a question, and I would really love for any and all women who might be listening to chime in with some honesty. Because see, when you chime in, you help keep me, well, you're gonna see that I am being honest, first and foremost. But I want you to see that a man's side of the equation. And what I like to do is I like to get online and just check things and check for the consistency of situations with marriage and just people just out there dating and see if it's consistent. And all across this country, it's being very consistent. So let's talk about it. I'm gonna ask this question. And again, let me go ahead and give my disclaimer first too. It may sound like when I'm talking about all women. I assure you, I am not talking about all women. However, in this country, I will definitely say I am most definitely talking about most. Now, if the shoe don't fit on you, don't wear it, because I do expect those people who don't want to be held accountable that are part of the problem. I expect them to get upset because that's like pulling the blanket off and people seeing. But nobody knows except for the person you with. And the people that you tell how you disrespecting that man. But here's my question. What does a woman have to, in these days, what does she have to offer a man in a marriage besides sex? And even in the situation as far as a boyfriend and a girlfriend. Now, again, I said I am not talking about all women. So let's focus on in most relationships today. Besides sex, what does a woman have to offer that relationship?
The benefits of a marriage, the benefits of being married in this modern day era. I would say the very first one that we should add on to each other is emotional support. When times get hard, y'all are there for one another. Y'all support one another, comfort one another, and help each other, talk to one another, communicate with each other about matters of the heart and what's going on to maybe disrupt certain rhythms or flows of normal day-to-day life. Having a person to open up to, you know what I'm saying? That's the first one I put. Companionship as well, doing things together, going out together, spending time, quality time with one another, sharing responsibilities with one another. I think that's probably the biggest one. And that's one of the major reasons why a lot of men get stressed out. We get stressed out. And so shared responsibilities, the Almighty said when he created woman that she would be a helpmeet to her husband. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So that's her very first obligation, is to share that, help lighten that load for that man.
Hold it thought.
Yes, sir.
Hold it thought for 1 second, because I see the angle that you're coming from and I can appreciate that. But I just want to be really clear on what that question was. In today's time, what do a woman bring? What is she bringing in most cases to that relationship besides sex? Not necessarily things that we desire her to bring and to have. What is she willing to offer? What is she bringing in most cases? Because studies, as far as I can see, and I'm just constantly all over the internet scouring, trying to find out what's going on. And one thing that that I have found to be 100% across the board all the time, that the men are seeing the same things and that the woman is not even wanting to have any accountability for anything and not doing anything besides having sex. For example, they'll say they can cook, or sometimes they may cook, or they might not want to cook or whatnot. Sometimes they might say they'll clean up or something, but again, isn't that what grown folks supposed to do? Clean up certain things that even before we got with a mate, right? Before we started dating or before we got married, certain things as adults, certain things are supposed to be done by us.
Should be the norm.
Exactly. So a lot of times when we get into relationships, and when I say we, I'm talking about men and women, when we get into relationships, sometimes someone in that relationship, if not both parties, sometimes somebody is slacking. Now that's just on the dating side. But now when we go to marriage, especially, and a man who is of a traditional mindset, he already knows what his responsibilities is, even when he went to go look for a mate.
Correct.
So he knows what those responsibilities that belong to him are. So he's automatically willing and normally going to do those things, right, because he expects that of himself. Right. You see, he expects to provide. He expects to be a protector. He expects to pay the bulk of the bills because he was doing that anyway before he took that other person on. You see what I'm saying? So now, with that mindset, again, that question is, and again, I can clearly see where you were coming from, but the question is, what are women in today's time willing to bring into a relationship besides sex? That they're going to be always on point and on time, and it's not going to be a burden or a chore for them to do these things?
Oh, absolutely. That's a good question. So certain things that we outline, such as, cleaning up, all of these things should be the norm. So the question that's on the floor is how would a woman actually change a man's life for the better in this modern time? So if you already got a strong man, a man that's about his business, he get up, he go to work every day, he makes sure he keep a clean house, he makes sure there's food in the fridge, food on the stove if he need it, you know what I'm saying? He takes good care of himself. Now he needs a wife, right? What would be the reason of having a wife today if I can do a lot of these things for myself?
See, there you go. See, now you understand, because a lot of times, say if he didn't want to cook, he can go to a restaurant, have some food delivered or something like that. Mm-hmm. If he didn't want to wash, he could pay somebody. He can outsource, should I say. Mm-hmm. Pay somebody to do his laundry or whatever. Mm-hmm. So what would be the benefit of him actually having a wife if all she's going to do is just give him sex? And a lot of times that's when she wants to. Mm-hmm. Because in the dating scene, in most cases, guys will say that, man, they was going at it like rabbits all the time. But then maybe within a year or so after they got married, now everything has slowed down. Yeah. And it's not quite the same, but he can't slow down because he still have those same responsibilities, not only for himself, but since he's taking on a wife and maybe possibly having a child, or maybe he took someone who had children, whatever the situation is. Now he's taking on more responsibility. So what's the benefit for him? What is she willing to give besides some sex?
Right. So for the men out there that's already will consider themselves a high value man, so to speak, you want to get a woman that's on your level and that's on your time. You don't want to get a woman that's going to slow you down. And by slow you down, I mean, when you bring her into your house and into your world, she's doing more tearing things. She's doing more destructive things than actually helping to build this house up. So if you already have a strong man, you're going to need a strong woman. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be very, very careful about the woman that you pick and really outline her characteristics, her character, her skill set, right? As you said, a lot of women try to come into situations, and just because they're beautiful, they believe that they can just win a man over just by sex or just by having a good time with them. No, we have to we have to see the long term. Now, see, those things are great if you want a short term, if you want a girlfriend, if you want a short term relationship. Yeah, just bring some sex, a good time. We go out, kick it, have fun. That's short term. Now, if you're looking for a wife, we're looking for something long term. So you want a woman of skill. The best the best example of that would be Proverbs 31 when it talks about the virtuous woman. It says in Proverbs 31:10, it says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies." Now, no matter if you a high value man or you make $100,000 a year, or you may even make $50,000 a year, but you got a lot of good things going on for yourself, finding that virtuous woman is still above. That's still a rarity for a man to find. That's the equivalent to a ruby, right? It says the heart of her husband doeth safely trust in her, that so that she shall have no need of spoil, right? So that the foundation of all relationships, especially for a man, is that trust factor. Can I trust this woman to follow my vision? Can I trust this woman to build my house and not destroy my house? Can I trust this woman if I bring her in, right? And that's why a lot of times back in the old days, a man would actually have to go to that family, the head of that family, and get that woman, right? Nowadays we going straight to the woman and we cutting off the family factor. You got to go to that family and actually get an understanding of how this woman was raised. Was she raised to help build up a high value man? Was she raised to help build a house? Does she understand what it means to be a wife? Does she understand that when times get hard, or not even when times get hard, just normal day-to-day life, is she continuing to build up her skills, right? Does she know how to sew? Is she cooking healthy meals, right? What else? Does she know how to shop? Does she know how to budget? Does she know how to go out and have a side hustle just in case I fall on hard times, right? So these are the things that I would be looking for if I already have myself together and I'm looking for something greater than just intimacy, right? I'm looking for her skill set. What type of skills does she possess?
So keep that same mindset, but I want to interject something here. Those are things that we actually hope for.
Right.
Now, especially when in society today, society refers to a man who makes at least $100,000 or more. He's considered a high value man. Now,
Right.
that's about 10% of the population.
Right.
But
Very
you got,
few men make that.
yeah, very few men make that. But the majority of the women, that's what they want.
Right.
But now let's talk about something that you were just
Yes, sir.
you were just saying here for a minute. What's one of the last couple of things? Because I got so much on my mind right now, I don't want to miss anything. It's one of the last things that you just said. I want to talk about that for a second. I forget what it
repeat it?
was. Yeah, please repeat it. One of the last thing.
Yeah, no, I had just said outside of intimacy, when looking for a woman, you want to see what type of skills she possesses. Outside of the bedroom, does she know how to sew? Does she know how to balance the budget? Does she have all of those qualities to help grow the house?
Okay.
Hallelujah.
And see, here's where the problem lies. A lot of women don't want to be inconvenienced. A lot of
Good point,
women
good
don't
point.
want to do certain things.
Good point.
A lot of women in relationships, and here's what I do. I talk to a lot of guys and I watch a lot of stuff that's going on today. And a lot of women, if they'll be honest, they're lazy in relationships. Men are complaining about, even with the sex, it's lazy sex. I guarantee you, if you get out there and you just do research and you ask them about it, like there was one guy who said he had been holding himself. He was on semen retention for just about a year, and he had been talking to this one female, and finally they end up getting together. Of course, they wasn't married, but they end up getting together, and he was talking about how trash it was. He even, talked about this on the internet, how lazy it was. And so women don't realize that if you're not giving yourself to that man, it's completely different than just being there, just being a body there.
Yeah.
You see, I don't know what be on some of their mind, but this is consistent across the board. Like I say, I like to just get out there and see what's going on. And then I watched something where a woman said she had to think about that question. What do she bring to the table besides sex? In other words, she was answering the question, what did she have to offer a man? And this was a mature woman, right? And, she was honest, and you can probably find that out there today. She was honest and said she had just recently found out by examining herself and having to answer that question honestly. She said she didn't have anything to offer a man. besides sex. Because a lot of times people don't have anything, but they want that man to elevate them. Do you see what I'm saying? And a good man is going to want to elevate a good woman.
Good point.
You see what I'm
Good
saying?
point.
But key word being a good woman. Because a lot of women today, and we'll talk about the guys as well, but we talk about women right now. When we talk about a good man trying to find a good woman, a lot of good women haven't been taught to be nurturers. You see, because they haven't seen that. So they don't know what that looks like. They haven't seen a lot of different things that a good woman is going to bring to the table because traditionally that's out of sight right now. People are not seeing how the way Big Mama used to do things and whatnot. Nowadays, a grandmother might be 25 or 30 years old. Where it used to be grandma was like in her late 60s, 70s, 80s, something like that. Then we had Big Mama. But it's not like that. Times have changed. And like I say, with these modern times, things have literally been watered down. We don't have people coming from structure just trying to be married. A lot of times people just they feel good about hookup culture, just going out. But see, even talking about that, I don't want you to lose your thought on
No, you good. Go ahead.
because we really gotta get some things narrowed down so people really understand the things that they should be looking for in a healthy relationship, and that relationship headed towards a marriage, and hopefully a marriage even today. But a lot of times, if we take those abnormalities that we constantly talking about and we take them and we place them in relationships, those relationships again being marriages, it's going to be bad. It's not going to turn out well. Because if I don't have a certain skill set, as a man, if I didn't have anything to say bring to the table, if I didn't have a job, if I didn't have assets, if I was in a position that I couldn't be a provider, I shouldn't be trying to be married. But a man will marry a woman. She don't necessarily have to have a job. A good qualification for a woman who could be married, just have a kind spirit. You hear what I'm saying? The word kind, Kind. Just have a kind spirit. Be a loving person. You don't have to be extremely beautiful, but you can be fair to look on. Like I don't look at you and be repulsed or something. You see what I'm saying?
The way a woman carry herself is the way a woman carries herself day to day is going to contribute to how that man sees her on a level of attraction. So you may not be the most physically attractive woman, but how you carry yourself can make you beautiful in the eyes of a good man.
So that means she's bringing that contentment.
Yeah.
That means you're satisfied with her. Because she can't make you happy because everybody have to be happy within themselves. Right. I can't make a woman happy, nor can she make me happy, but she can bring me contentment. And then I'm going to be good with that.
Yes.
I'm going to be good with it. But a lot of times they're not bringing that. A lot of times. So what we're trying to do is give y'all some reasons on why a lot of people aren't being married today, because of certain characteristic traits that you're showing even before a man could even consider asking. You know, a lot of women are, and again, I'm talking about a lot. I ain't talking about all. I'm talking about most, are just too daggone masculine. Their behaviors are such to where they probably don't realize it because for them it's normal behavior. Now, I don't think the average woman wants to go around and just say she's masculine. You know, that's a behavior that she may not understand that she's displaying. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of women don't even really want to consider that, especially when they hear it. But women should be softer. Let the man be hard for you. Women don't have to see. Like, for one thing, a lot of all that cursing and whatnot, that's masculine. A lot of all that daggone threatening behavior, just being hard, that's masculine. Now, when a man argues with a woman, now he's acting feminine. And I've had to get myself, I have to catch myself. I've been guilty of that myself. I want to be a man shouldn't have to raise his voice at all. You see what I'm saying? You ever been out in the streets and you can hear the echo of some woman just going off, or be in Walmart late at night or something, even out in the parking lot, and we see certain things that just ought not be. Nobody needs to know somebody else's business. We don't need to air our dirty laundry for the world to hear. So when a woman can bring contentment, if that's all she got, along and giving herself to her man, her husband, he gonna be satisfied. But because we're not expecting them to bring a whole lot.
Yeah, I think to go back to your point, a lot of our modern day sisters don't understand how emasculating they can be. Usually, from a traditional standpoint, men were not only just the bread winners, right? We were also the ones that were the dominant force when it came to making decisions and just being overall assertive. A man doesn't want to be over asserted by his woman, especially publicly, right? So Solomon has said, a foolish woman, she's loud and she's clamorous. You hear her a mile away. She loud. She don't have no discretion. Solomon also said, as a jewel of gold in a swine stout, in a swine snout, so is a fair woman, a beautiful woman without any discretion. So just because you're beautiful, right? To me, at this point in my life, beauty I look at beauty like Solomon did. Beauty is vain, but a woman that fear Yahweh, she shall be praised. Right.
Go.
So women, sisters are sisters, right? Learn from the men that the Almighty have put in your life. When it comes to men and the way that we can't move based on our emotions. We have to move strategically, because where is our emotions going to get us? How is that going to make our situation any better? A woman who brings only her emotions to the table is going to destroy her house. A woman has to learn how to be strategic. That's a queen. There was a testimony in First Kings, and I pulled this out because this is a testimony between Bathsheba, David, and Solomon. When David was old and sick, one of David's sons, Adonijah, had assumed the throne, I assumed the crown, when his father didn't even give him permission to do that. Now, when Bathsheba had figured it out, she took it straight to the king. She knew how to play her position and say, you know what, I'm going to take this information to the king. When she went before the presence of the king, it said she made obeisance to her husband, because she realized, this is not just my husband. This is the king. I understand his role in the community. I don't just understand his role as me and her, as me and him just being husband and wife. No, I understand his reputation. I understand where his time goes on a day-to-day basis, what he does for the community. So when Bathsheba had came before the presence of the king and he was laying down on his bed sick, it says she bowed before her husband, and she bowed. And not only that, when David was sick, she made moves. She pulled strings to make sure that her son Solomon, which was the rightful successor to the throne, would be able to sit there and bring about peace in Israel. So she had to move not based on her emotions, but she moved strategically. Now, we have a lot of women, or a lot of our sisters. I'm trying to get away from just saying women because I want to make it more personal.
Okay.
A lot of our sisters, they're moving based on their emotions. That's not a woman of discretion. Actually, that's a foolish woman.
Very foolish.
Yeah, you cannot move based on your emotions, because men have emotions too. Little do, and we're not giving credit for our emotions. A lot of times we just understand that we're mature enough to understand that this is our emotions. A lot of the times it's not going to make our situation better. Right. But we share our emotions with one another. We understand that we need to vent and get these things up off of us. But once that's over with, we straight back to business. So when picking a woman, you want to make sure that she understands how to move within your circle as a man. This is your circle. When you bring this woman into your circle, is she going to be outside the circle? Is she going to be trying to push you outside of your circle? Right. Or does she know how to move fluidly, softly, and wisely within that circle? Crazy.
Hence, that's where the problem lies.
Yes,
Because today's modern woman don't respond that way.
Yeah,
Today's modern woman wants to control that circle.
that assertiveness.
Today's modern woman wants to control the relationship. See, and that's why they don't understand they're not being chosen at all for marriage.
Yeah.
If you're insufferable before you even get to that point, nobody's going to rope you in and say they're going to cuff you and bring you in so they can get even more of that same grief. See, when a woman, I tell guys, choose a woman that's going to allow you to rule or govern over her. Choose a woman who wants to be led, but choose a woman who's going to be agreeable instead of disagreeable. But a lot of times that even fails because I don't know what's going on with some of our younger men. They're softer
Yeah.
and they're willing to tolerate a lot just because they think this woman. See, a lot of these guys have been taught that the woman is the prize. A lot of these guys came up in single parent households run by mom, and mom was teaching them how you treat a woman, this and a lot of different things. But they didn't teach their sons that everybody, men and women, should be held accountable. So the pressure remains on the men, and the women tend to get off a lot easier. And I know that women, honest women will agree that the system is designed for a woman's benefit. That the woman is always going to be prosperous. That's just like, even like I said, when the welfare system came into play. Welfare said, look, we'll take care of you, but you can't have no man in this house and don't have no things in this house that even pertain to a man. When they get in bad situations, they have places where women and children can go, but no man can be there. When you go to the courthouses, they'll grant a woman custody more times than a man of the children, and then tell the man you got to pay, in some cases, alimony and child support. So it's always a win-win type situation. So when we talk about marriage nowadays, guys are weighing the pros against the cons of marriage. And a lot of times they're saying hey, that juice ain't worth the squeeze. I don't want to take that chance. Because again, 70 to 90% of women walk out on relationships because, check this out, drum roll, because he did not make her happy. Now, we both know that nobody can make anybody else happy. A man is not responsible for a woman's happiness, nor is a woman responsible for a man's happiness. However, we can add to that happiness, but it has to be a give and take. If you have one party that's constantly giving and the other party is taking but not reciprocating, then that party that's constantly giving is going to feel like he or she has been taken advantage of because it ain't going to add up. You see what I'm saying? So how do we get to that point to where we have the men and the women wanting to be held accountable in their relationships? Because again, you got to keep in mind, I know some men don't like to be held accountable either. But in order for any relationship to prosper, you have to be accountable, because if I didn't do the things that I need to do in my relationship, the whole thing would crumble. But my woman is supposed to be my support system. You see what I'm saying? So if she didn't do the things that she needed to do, then we still gonna crumble because I need some help. You see what I'm saying? So that's in any relationship in order to create that balance. Now, it can still be considered a balance even if this person is doing this much, but this person is doing this much. As long as they're maintaining what their requirements are, then it's still balanced. And I know most men wouldn't even have a problem with that, especially a traditional minded man. But again, here in modern times, it's whatever flies. It's whatever we gonna do. But then when they even go at it that way, whatever we gonna do, if somebody neglects to hold up their end, there's a problem.
Yeah. So no, I think that's a good question. How can we, inspire both brothers and sisters in relationship, more so our sisters, to take accountability. And I do understand that a lot of our sisters do come from broken homes, and that's the number one factor when it comes to influencing, a new righteous situation for a woman. Because if she's coming from a household where she didn't see these things, it's going to be very, very hard for her to do the things that she never saw. You know what I'm saying? So, and vice versa with me and as well, right? And that's where, as you said, that's a lot of times where the power lies. But Solomon said, where there's no counsel, the people will fall. But in a multitude of counselors, there is safety. So things such as, having there's a sister out there by the name of Chanel Shalom. She's a femininity coach. She helps women in terms of, she talks to them, helps them, let them vent, get an understanding of the problem or the problem of certain situations they may face in their relationships. And she counsels both men and women, so when it comes to things like that, we need more individuals to step up, because a lot of times, see, when you're in a relationship, it's just you and that person. And if problems are coming out and it's like y'all have disputes, y'all have controversies, y'all have arguments, or y'all have situations, or you as a man may see, man, she's not taking accountability here. The woman may feel like, oh man, he's just not being right. He's not being just. He's not listening. He's not, things of that nature. So sometimes you do need a mediator in the situation to kind of help counsel and see both sides and say, look, you did, and Almighty told us not to be a respecter of persons in judgment, and everything has to be done according to Yah's laws. Because if it's not counsel according to Yah's laws, it's not right. Right. So when we pull up all of these laws and we get on the law and the testimony, and we understand the true responsibility of a man and the true responsibility of a woman, and we understand what being wise is and we understand what being foolish is, we can hold each other accountable. I just think sometimes that a woman or a man may need to hear it from somebody else a lot of the times, because when you rubbing elbows with somebody for so long, a lot of the times there's going to be arguments. There's going to be, right. You know what I'm saying? Because as I explained that circle thing, see, men, a lot of times we look at it like exactly how I just explained it, because that's how I look at it. I got my circle. I got my way of doing things. When I'm inviting somebody to my life, whether it's I'm helping somebody out or whether it's a woman in a situation that's coming to help and be a helpmeet to me, everything is going to have to be done according to my circle. But a lot of times we have to realize that woman is not used to being in that circle. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So a woman, a lot of the times that good communication have to be established between that man and woman. And a woman have to understand that, hey, this is if we're seeking marriage in the right way, the traditional way, not the modern way. In the traditional way, the man was not only just the breadwinner, right? He was the one that was the most dominant in making the decisions for the household. He's the king of that house. He's the one that is supposed to have the inspiration and the ambition and the drive to make sure that this house continues on and that this house, it increases over time, not diminishes over time, right? So his decisions are going to be urgent. It's like, hey, baby, we need to get this done. We need to do this. We need to do that, right? So a lot of times that communication it's going to come off masculine, right? Women have to understand, you're not dealing with boys. You're not dealing with your son. You're dealing with a grown man.
Let's speak on that
Go ahead.
Real quick. I forget my train of thought, because you bring out some really good points. Yeah. Keeping in mind that if females as well as males come from broken homes where it's just mom there, both of them, right? Yes, so a lot of times there's going to be a problem in those situations, because a woman is not going to be used to a man being dominant in that relationship, because that's not where she comes from. And in a lot of cases, a man is not going to be used to being dominant. So he's probably looking for her to do a lot of things that he should be actually doing, because they come from the same type of environment. And see, here's where we really run into a huge problem, because she don't know her role and he don't know his role. Now, and here's what either one of them don't really understand. See, there you get two people who want to try to make it, but they don't have that basic foundation, and they have to come in being loyal, and they don't know anything about that, because it's a brand new experience for them. And so let me give you that definition of loyalty. Yeah, it's brand new. That's giving or showing firm and constant support. You see what I'm saying? So in other words, I'm riding with you till the wheels fall off. And they don't know nothing about that, because they haven't seen it modeled for them. They haven't seen mom and dad together. You see what I'm saying? They didn't heard what mom's saying about dad and all these different things, and he don't care about you and all this other kind of stuff that sometimes bitter women say, and it's a messed up situation. So how do we get to the point to where we get the men and the women on the same page, understanding, look, in the relationship, if we get married, I'm going to be the head, but I'm going to try to govern my house in righteousness. I'm going to treat you right, but I need you to do the things that you need to do as the woman to be my support system. In other words, in order for us to function that way together in unity, we have to be loyal not only to one another, but to the union of marriage. We got to be loyal. That means it's got to be unwavering. If we have some issues, we got to come together and talk about it. If you feel like you're overwhelmed in some respect or whatnot, you need to come to me and let's sit down and have a conversation. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of times people, they don't know how to communicate effectively. One time, you might have a situation where a guy might say something and he's being truthful according to the way he feels, and then the woman get upset because she don't want to hear it. And then the woman might say something and the guy get upset because he don't want to hear it. So both parties have to learn how to listen, not just to respond in anger or something, but to take into account what do I need to do to make this person feel comfortable, and likewise the other person have to feel the same way.
You know what? And what you said is really powerful because we underestimate the power of listening. You know what I mean? We really do underestimate the power. When you listen to someone, especially someone you love and care about, you can understand how to have favor with this person or how to be this person's enemy, and just by merely listening. Now, at that point, once you find out that information, it's up to you on how you respond. But if you want things to work, you will give the person the things that they need in order for them to flourish, if you truly love them. And that's the thing. Do we truly love the people we're dealing with, or is it out of convenience? Right? And I think we as men have to really understand that when we pick our mate, because you have to literally see through the woman, see past her beauty, see past her good looks, her charm, and the favor, because favor is deceitful. Look at her, truly look at her and understand, is this woman here in my life for convenience? Or does this woman truly, truly love me for who I am, right? Does she respect me? And a lot of times men ain't doing that.
And here again is where another problem lies, because in a lot of cases, notice I said a lot of cases, and again, you get all on the internet, and the women will attest to this. They'll agree with it because they're the ones who saying it. It's about, what can you do for me? That's one of the first things and it bothers the heck up out of me, because on a lot of these shows that they have out there, on a lot of these interviews that they do, on a lot of these talk shows about relationships and things out there, it's, according to the woman, it's about what this man can do for her. Yeah. But then when they're asked, exactly, and when that question is asked, what is she bringing to the table? What is she going to do? Because she wants certain things, but she's not willing to give certain things. Yeah. And so again,
it's gotta be give and take.
Right. It's gotta be. So right now, a lot of our relationships today are not about love and mutual respect. It's not about that anymore. It's about, what can you do for me? Yeah. What's going to be my benefit of being your girlfriend? Yeah. A lot of times they don't even want to be married. Yeah. Because a woman nowadays, if she get the right sucker, can get her life sponsored. Yeah. And all she have to do is just be beautiful and just play her role and not be too big of an issue or problem. Yeah. You see?
And you know what? A woman out there like that is never going to be fulfilled. She going to end up cheating on a man, and end up sleeping around, and end up running away because you did it the wrong way. Having a man sponsor you and do all of these simp. They had a video out there on social media. I don't know if you've seen this. It was a guy out there that said he worked like 70 hours a week. He worked 70. He's a big guy, kind of like, he not the most, attractive guy, but his woman is super beautiful, right? But he works 70 hours a week just to have her, right? And sponsor her. You seen that? Sponsor her life. And he asked for a kiss on camera publicly. Oh, I saw that. Yeah. She was like, yeah, later when the cameras is off or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
He is obviously being used
for
his resources. Yeah, he's obviously being used for his resources, and it's really sad, because it's marriage is not what it's supposed to be these days. Yeah. Because again, like I say, it's impossible I repeat, it's impossible to keep the Almighty's laws with a modern day mindset.
Right.
The Almighty's not included in there. And most people, to be perfectly honest, whether they call themselves Israelites or not, are not trying to do things the way the Almighty prescribed. You know, again, in relationships, I'm fearful by the time my 16-year-old daughter and my 15-year-old son is old enough to where maybe they're interested in having a mate and being married. I'm afraid marriage might be outdated by then.
Oh yeah.
You know, because I'm thinking that within the next 10 years or so, if that long, we're probably going to see the only marriages we will see are those that have been married for a while.
Yeah.
Because people are really weak and they don't want to put forth the effort of dealing with somebody else. We have to keep in mind any relationship, whether it's a business relationship, a marriage, even boyfriend, girlfriend relationships, you're dealing with two different personalities. And that being said, now I'm going to get real deep for a second here. I'm getting ready to change gears. We're going to circle back here. You and I, we both know that ideally a woman was supposed to be a virgin when she was married, right?
Correct.
That means she hadn't been
She
with
haven't
any
been
man.
married before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. So even when let's use the foundation of scriptures. Say that marriage didn't work out,
Right.
right? So the husband, he gave that wife a bill of divorcement. Now she can go out, not any children if they had children, but she can go out and she can become another man's wife.
Right.
So say she married somebody else. Say that man, for whatever reason, they had an issue. He divorced her, or maybe he died. That woman could not go back to that first husband. That first husband couldn't take her back because at that point, the Almighty said that she was defiled.
Right.
She was greatly defiled. So now let's fast forward, even with this boyfriend, girlfriend type situation. We've all been guilty of having girlfriends and boyfriends for the most part. Let's say a woman, she was with this person. She was with this person. She was with this person. Let's just fast forward, okay? Fast forward. Say over the course of time, this woman has been with, say, like 10. That woman been with like 20. Next woman, say about the time she's, and we just gonna keep it real, okay? We're gonna have an honest conversation. Say, here in 2024, the average, say, 24, 25-year-old person probably, you know, in most cases, a lot of cases, then been with multiple people, right? Multiple people. So here's what women need to consider. I'm going to say this because I want y'all to really consider what I'm saying. When a man deposits inside of that woman, he is depositing his DNA.
Right.
So over a period of time, say a woman didn't been with, and I know some of these numbers can be ridiculous, and if you think I'm lying, you'll get online and just do some research. A lot of women, they will, I guess they call themselves keeping it honest. They've got so many bodies up under it ain't even funny. And then some people, they don't want a person to know how many people they've been with. They say it ain't nobody's business, right? But considering every time a woman lies with a man, she's taking on that man's DNA. So now if they've been with a lot of different people, they've got multiple personalities that they've been dealing with. They have multiple people's DNA. So now you wonder why this woman is acting in certain ways, right? Because she's dealing with, might act like she's got a multiple personalities, or she just acts out in a lot of different ways. But a man have to consider, is that the type of woman that he wants to marry or even be involved with? Because he don't know, but she knows she's always going to be comparing him to all the other guys that she's been with. And he ain't going to never be good enough. And besides that, it's going to be very difficult for any woman who's been with multiple men to pair bond with one particular guy. It's going to be just impossible. That's the reason there's an old saying, she don't belong to him, it's just his turn. And I'm not trying to be harsh with saying that. And like I was saying just yesterday, that young people have to protect I'm talking about the females, have to protect their most valuable asset. Don't allow a guy to trick them into doing something that they'll later regret. Nobody wants to really take on a woman that they know she's been with a whole bunch of guys. That's just not, it's not what the average person actually wants. You see, but I need women to realize that when you do certain things, and again, and this, I am not talking about all women. It's not an attractive thing. It's not a trait that a man would willingly take on to make that particular type of woman his wife. Not the average man. So a lot of times women tend to think that because a man is constantly on them because they're attractive, that they think they have options. No. 9 times out of 10, if a man already know about that woman, marriage is not even going to be on his mind. He's trying to have some fun. That's it.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on what you said about that situation, because they do inherit that DNA when a man, if you having sex, and of course, the chemicals and stuff that they produce. We know what a man sees is that's information, it's instructions, DNA, right? So aside from that, the Almighty said, once you become married and a man gives you a bill of divorce, you may go and be another man's wife, right? Not a girlfriend, not a whore, not any of those things, but you're supposed to go and be another man's wife. Now, the amount of time it's going to take you. Now, let me first establish this. It's like what we all have to realize is that when we seek in marriage, we want a blessing. We don't want something that's just in the norm. Neither do we want something that's negatively out of the norm. But to me, a blessing is something that's, wow, hey, that's out of the norm. I got a blessing today. I don't see these things every day. The Almighty took me through this. He pulled me out of it, right? Or the Almighty has given me more days, or he blessed me with more resources, right? A blessing is out of the norm. Most women today, they don't understand. Just because you have access to different men in the dating arena, that don't mean that these men are going to be a blessing to you. The Almighty have given you certain bounds, right? If depending on the type of lifestyle you live, you're going to see different men every day, right? You may have men that hit on you, may ask you out. That don't necessarily mean that these men are going to be a blessing to you, right? The Almighty has to assign you a man that's going to be a blessing to you. And a lot of times when that blessing comes, you know what happens? The women don't even see it. They look at this blessing, the blessed man, the man that's going to come into their life and actually bless them. They treat him like all the rest of the other men that they've dealt with. That's the reason why a lot of relationships don't work, because a lot of times the women don't see that, hey, and especially women and sisters that are currently married, right? You have to understand, it's not just when Solomon said a prudent wife, a wife, he that finds a wife finds a good thing. That's also in reverse. If the Almighty have given you a husband, a hedge of protection, right? The Almighty have given you a rock. He's giving you stability. He's giving you protection, right? That's also a blessing. How can we say that a man finding a woman is a blessing, but a woman finding a man is not a blessing? Does that make sense? Right? A lot of women don't understand. Just because you go on dates, just because you have friends you kick it with, that don't mean that these men are going to be a long-term blessing for you. This comes from the Most High.
Let me respond to something you just said, because that's right on line. That's right on point. A good man should be bringing stability to that relationship. But a lot of times women fight against that stability because they like to go with their emotions. They like to be all over the place. But when a man is bringing that stability, he's also bringing you guidance, which means he's going to help you direct the way that you need to be going so that you get that balance that you need. He's bringing you protection and you're getting his provisions. He's making sure that you're straight by giving you stability. But a lot of times, a lot of particular women fight against that stability because now they have somebody telling them, as they say, what to do or how to behave or how to act. And they've never been accustomed to that because, again, a lot of times, more times than not, they came from a single parent household. But the guys came from those single parent households too. That's the reason most people today are of a modern mindset. The traditional mindset is no longer there because tradition has been broken down. Those old marriages, they've either faded out and somebody's passed or whatnot, or either never been a part of that. And so when you come from brokenness, the only thing you can bring is brokenness.
Yeah.
And so people are not used to someone, women are not used to someone governing or ruling over them. They're going to fight against it. Speak on it.
Yeah. And that goes back to what I said, what women have to realize. I don't care if that man is 5'2" or he's 6'7" That's a man. Once that man reaches the age of accountability when he's 20 years old, right? I wouldn't recommend any sisters out there to necessarily be looking for a marriage from a brother that young. But I'm just saying, no matter what man you're dealing with, right? That's a man. That's a man. That man is not a female. He's not a boy. So therefore, he's going to behave as a man should behave, right? As men start to go through puberty, what happens? Our voice get deeper. We get taller. We become more masculine. The testosterone, we start to grow muscles. We're not supposed to be soft. We're not supposed to be, hey, could you do this for me, babe? Please, I need you to cook me some food. No, we gonna say it like a man, say it with our chest, right? So if women are not used to receiving or having following a man or receiving instructions from a man or a man being assertive with them in a clean way, not in a wicked way, but in a clean way, they just have to get used to it. Because that's a part of Yahweh's order. He said, a woman's desire shall be unto her husband, and he shall what? Govern or rule over you. Meaning he's the one that's supposed to be telling you what to do. You're not supposed to be necessarily always telling him what to do. He's going to be, I would say, from 85 to 90% of the time, he's supposed to be telling you what to do. Period. And that's law. That's not emotionalism. That's not injustice. That's fairness.
Let me speak on that. You do have some wisdom, and you're right in line with something that I wanted to say. Check this out. I wrote this down because certain things I just didn't want to forget. And, as I get older, I want to remember certain things that I want to talk about. But I wrote down that most black women that's here in the West here, they fight against what the average man has to offer.
Right.
And they're always wanting more, even though they're bringing very little. The woman is bringing and we just keeping it real, ladies. I know there are always exceptions to the rule. Some of you beautiful women actually always try to go over and beyond what a man's expectations are. And I can personally appreciate that, but not the vast majority. The vast majority fights against it. They don't want someone to govern over them because they've not been accustomed to it. They didn't come from that type of background, and they didn't realize what they were signing up for when they got ready to be married. And that's why a lot of women will not be married and a lot of men will not be married, because a lot of men they don't have that right mindset to where they want to take on that added responsibility, because a lot of times they can't even hardly take care of their own self. You see, if you get a man who's not being productive, he's not out there making his money. He's like young folk might say, old folk, he ain't out there getting the bag, so to speak. Right. He can't take care of himself, let alone somebody else. But when you have a good man, he's going to look to be responsible for someone else. A traditional mindset anyway, because not only is he going to have to be responsible for himself, he's going to have to be responsible for any and everyone in his household.
Yes, sir.
So if he have one child, 2 children, 3 children, 4 children, he knows he needs to be in a position where he can provide for those children and still his wife.
Oh, period. Yes.
And even if he have a pet, a dog, you got to make sure that the dog is eating too. That the dog has shelter.
Dogs get expensive.
You see, so a lot of times people don't realize that there's a process. That's the reason it's not good for a man to get married at a very young age, because he still have to acquire resources.
You gotta acquire resources.
You see, and that's going to take some time. Mm-hmm. Whereas a woman, she really want to get married while she's young, because her best asset is her beauty and her youth. Faster. You see what I'm saying?
That's why women mature faster than men, because they supposed to. Women, when they turn and see what's got everything all kind of jacked up is the school system, because they kind of group men and women, young boys and young girls together based on age. But a lot of young individuals don't realize, a woman matures a lot faster than a man, right? A man starts to really mature and really coming to his manhood around 30 or 40. You know what I'm saying? And that's when he really starts. He should really have some type of resources acquired by that time to where he can go ahead and seek a wife. But it takes about 7 years. So from 20 to 27, and sometimes even a surplus year, since we here in captivity, it might take you about 10 years really to really get on your feet and establish, depending on, you know, how diligent you are. But women, when by the time they turn 18, 19, and 20, you know, they ready to experience relationships and go out on dates and things of that nature. So I would always encourage, you know, women that are, you know, of that age to date older, perhaps even.
Let
Yes.
me say this because they're
Go
gonna
ahead.
get mad. I was thinking of some things that I wanted to say while you were saying that, because we definitely on the same page, and I'm getting ready to say some things that's actually gonna piss some women off.
Okay.
You know, and it shouldn't, because it's nature, it's the order of things. Like I said, a man, he shouldn't be looking to get married when he's like in his early 20s, not even necessarily his mid 20s or anything, because it takes a while for a man to actually acquire his assets, acquire those resources. Whereas, like again, that woman, when she's younger, she has her beauty, she has her virtuousness still intact or whatnot. So a man, as he's older, a man should be older than that woman when he decides that he's going to get married. And a lot of times an older woman will be upset, talk about why he want a younger woman. Well, first of all, he wants a younger woman because now she has time to still have children. And say like if they want 4 or 5 children or whatnot, she still have time to where she can have all those children before she gets too old. And then in her older age, her and her husband can still enjoy one another. And an older man don't necessarily want an older woman because she's going to be more set in her ways already. And so this is not to put anybody down, but by the time a woman is say like 35 or 36, 37 years old and she's not married, and ladies, I'm not trying to deem anything. I'm really not. I'm just speaking fact. And like I said, if you ever want to piss somebody out, piss a woman off, you just tell her the truth. And the truth of the matter is you can check statistics, right? And by the time a woman is 35, 36, 37, upward of the age of 40 years old, there's a great possibility, not that it won't happen, that she may not get married, because at that point she's already set in her ways. And a lot of guys that she may have dated or whatnot, those who did not ask her, she have to ask herself, well, there's some qualities about her that that man didn't like. So therefore he wasn't interested in asking for her hand in marriage, so to speak. Whereas when you get a younger woman and she sees that that older man, he's got his stuff together at this point. He had to take some time to build those resources up so that he has something. If you got a 18-year-old woman or 19-year-old woman, you got an 18, 19, 20-year-old guy, they get married. He hasn't gotten anything established yet. So it's a possibility that they may struggle if she don't leave, or they might possibly break up or something. But when a man has assets, when he have resources and whatnot, nobody's going to be just quick to leave him. People want to have some help. They want somebody who can help provide for them. So there's a reason why generally you would always see, and even back in the old days, a man was in a lot of cases much older. You know, I'm not necessarily advocating for that right now, but you know, men are going to be older in most cases because they need to acquire some things so they can get the woman that they want to get.
Absolutely. And I totally agree. And I think it's wicked for a woman to, you know, condemn a man for seeking a woman that's younger than him. Because like I said, you know, women tend to mature a lot faster than men. So I would encourage women that's of the age of 20 to actually date men in their 30s, perhaps, or even above. I would say if the young woman is about 20, I would say try to, you know, shoot for like 27, 28, 29 in the 30 ranges. And what young men have to understand is that we have to understand patience, right? Spend that time with yourself. Figure out who you are, start to develop your vision, gather your resources, then seek that wife when you're at the appropriate age. Don't feel like you're missing out on anything. Don't be out here having sex and just wasting your energy, wasting time. You know, no, concentrate, get focused. So by the time you're at that age, you'll be where you want to be at. Having understanding is going to take you, you know, that's going to take you very, very far in this life. And the way that we get understanding is by understanding the counsel of the Almighty and reading his laws and getting in that word, getting in the book. What most young men don't realize, and young women, is that a lot of times in these relationships, like, when they reach 18, they go on prime. You know what I'm saying? Prime is the big night, you know what I'm saying, for a young woman, where they go out and do things maybe for the first time or not. They don't realize that, no, you don't do stuff like that. You know what I mean? You don't go and that's your virtuousness as a woman. You don't go and give that away in a one night stand to a man. That's supposed to be reserved for your husband, right? The man that's going to take care of you. So what we got going on, all this boyfriend, girlfriend relationships going on, is only messing up young boys and young women in the long term. It's messing y'all up, right? Y'all wasting y'all time. Y'all, a lot of y'all are getting hurt. Y'all getting pregnant early. Y'all hurting y'allself. Therefore, see yourself down the line. Okay, if I entertain a relationship before I'm ready with a young man that I know is not mature enough really to handle me and take care of me, I get pregnant, right? I get pregnant now, okay. We break up after a few years, right? I go through all of this trauma and all of this hurt as a young woman, and I'm going to carry that into my next relationship. Now the next man got to put up with that. How is that fair to you or him or your relationship?
I'm glad you're speaking on that.
Yeah.
Because I was going to, but I want to hear you as a young man. Then I'll chime in on the end because I got some things also about that written down. But I'm really enjoying your wisdom. And here's what I tell people often. And I said this to two different people on two different occasions, actually three, just yesterday. Said that just yesterday, a lot of times people really don't understand what they're doing until it's too late.
Oh, yeah.
And then they have those regrets. And I tell them, those things that you think you know today, wait till you just in the area of 30, somewhere around there. And if you're honest with yourself, when you look back, the people are going to realize that they didn't know half the stuff that they thought they knew. And they could eliminate half the problems that they end up having when they're older by not lusting and just trying to go do grown-up married things when they're not in that position. Because say if a young man went out and got somebody pregnant, but then later on he ends up getting a scholarship, he ends up going to NBA or whatever scenario you want to have, but he's starting to make some money. All that money ain't gonna be yours now. All that money ain't gonna be yours because 9 times out of 10, somebody back there, you might have a baby here and a baby there, or maybe even another baby on the way or something. Now a lot of your money is gone because you're making more money, so you're gonna be giving away more money.
And that's law.
So people they hinder their own self by not being wise. And see, if we would be wise and not do the things that the Almighty called an abomination to him, then we'd be all right. So it's a good thing to wait and gather your resources so you can go about doing things the right way. And so many people don't really understand the right way. And it's a shame because doing what's right according to young folk today is what they call lame. But they don't even know what the word lame means. They don't know that lame means you're crippled in the feet. You see, lame, that they think lame means you're boring and other things. They're giving new names to everything and don't have a clue. They don't understand what the word bruh mean. If I'm referring to you and I say bruh, I'm speaking to another male. So I'm just flabbergasted when I see two girls talking and they keep saying bruh, bruh, bruh. Or if I see a guy talking to a female and he's bruh. I just the system is allowing us to be watered down.
So yeah, going more along the lines of that, a lot of if y'all don't know out there, the Almighty said, looking at Abraham and Sarah. Well, when you look at Abraham and Sarah, you understand that Sarah was actually 10 years younger than Abraham. Abraham was 10 years older than Sarah, right? So that maturity factor is it's crucial. It's very crucial because a lot of things what young girls think is cute. Oh yeah, he cute. He cute. Let me go ahead and be his girlfriend. And y'all start doing grown up things, and now y'all messing up. Y'all messing yourself up in the future. You know what I mean? So I just wish a lot of people would understand that, because we'll have more success. We do got some comments up here too.
Read some of them things off, and if they got some questions, we're gonna get some of these questions answered before we move it further.
From Moriah Cove, he put 3 comments in here. He said a man needs to figure out what he wants in a woman to help him build besides sex. He said within the Torah Israelite community, this is a major problem, which should not be if we truly serve Yah. He also said in Israel, we need to lift up and show within our community those of us who have been married for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Let's begin to highlight our success in marriage.
Hallelujah. Let me say this, and it's sad, but we're going to keep it honest. Most people, again, not all, most people won't even be honest with themselves. That's a bold statement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Most people won't even be honest with themselves. So if they're not honest with themselves, it's going to be very difficult to be honest with somebody else, especially if they're not even honest with themselves. Most people tend to have an ulterior motive. Most people are just corrupt, regardless of whether they call themselves an Israelite or not. Let's even go back even in times of the flood when only 8 people survived. Only 8. So it's a shame. We're going to make errors, but we don't have to willfully just be out of order. And that's a problem because everybody, males and females, it seems like for the most part, again, I'm not talking about all people because there are some people that are totally sincere. And those that are totally sincere, we still going to fall, but we need to get back up, brush ourselves off, and get back on that path of righteousness. But the fact of the matter is, most people are not trying to be righteous. Most people just faking the funk. And it's a daggone shame. You know, see, but we don't understand. We playing with our very life. We got to change. If a person is not willing to look in that mirror, so to speak, and start correcting self, because everybody got some issues that they can't correct. But we have to put forth we have to put forth that effort in order to correct things that we've come up with wrong. And like I've talked to you on numerous occasions about all them different abnormalities. A lot of times people just accept that and say, man, it is what it is. Well, that don't make it right. And we keep repeating the same thing like that dog returning to that vomit. We keep doing the same thing, but we want a different outcome. We want a better outcome, and we're never going to get it because we keep tempting the Most High in our own ignorance. Again, we were taught to learn to do well. Just learn. Learning is a process. That means a person has to be consistent with that process. And we're inconsistent people. We're inconsistent. We love to point the finger, but nobody recognizes when you point the finger at somebody else, you got 3 of them fingers coming right back at yourselves.
Right.
And a lot of times we just not willing to put forth the effort. But like I said, regardless of anybody coming in or going out my life, I'm determined to be a better person. Not for somebody else, but for me and for the Most High. And if anybody else can reap a benefit from that, more power to them. But I'm not getting ready to go in reverse. I am too old to go backwards. That'll make me just an old fool. And a fool is either a very unwise or a very silly individual. I don't have that kind of time. Like I tell people, most likely I have more years behind me than I have left in front of me. I'm not willing to just, I'm not just trying to jump head first into the fire. I'm not trying to do that. Now, I do understand that a lot of people will get upset when you tell them the truth. And if women are honest, I know there's got to be a woman or two on there. I think, is that Queen up there somewhere? In a lot of cases, Shalom says, in a lot of cases, if a man is just, not necessarily have to be brutally honest, but if he's going to be honest and tell a woman some of the things that's not a desirable trait in a relationship, in a lot of cases, in most cases, that woman is going to take offense. She's not going to want to hear it. You can't, that's just like if a man say, I want somebody who's going to love me. But a woman say, I am loving you, but you're not loving me in a way that I want to be loved. In other words, the love what you call love you're giving to me, that's hurtful to me. I don't want that. If that's the way you got to love me, hey, you can keep that to yourself. They'll be offended. But yet and still, they want to be loved how they want to be loved. See, we can't have it can't be one-sided. Marriage has to be a benefit for both parties. Again, it is never a man's responsibility to make a woman happy. Matter of fact, it's impossible for anyone to make somebody else happy. We can only add to their happiness. You see what I'm saying? We can be a positive force in their life. We can add to that happiness. Like I say, a person they can bring contentment to a relationship. And that's a beautiful thing right there if they can do that. But a lot of times you got men going in relationship and they gaming. Sometimes you got women going into relationships and they gaming, unless a person gets really serious and say, I'm not going to accept no more bull crap. I'm not going to put any bull crap out, and I'm not going to accept any in. Until that happens, we're going to see relationships diminishing because, like I said before, relationships today, these newer relationships, it's about what can you do for me? It's like an exchange. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I could agree. And it's just because people are being, we superficial now. A lot of things are very disingenuous. It's not the old way. The Almighty told us to seek the old way. In regards to what you said about, to get a sister mad, all you gotta do is tell her the truth. Well, that just show you where her understanding is at. She lacks understanding because Solomon said, reproofs of instruction are the way of life, right? Brother Dan, Maury Dan used to always say, if what you say, if what I say affects you and hurts you, whose problem is that? That's your problem, right? Because you can't control your spirit, or you don't know how to walk away from the situation and understand that, hey, this situation is hurting me. Let me walk away or seek the higher road. We have to understand and learn how to take correction from one another, right? The black man has been the Hebrew man has been emasculated for so many years, for decades, for centuries here in the diaspora that we're in. So when a man seeks to take that position as an authoritarian, right, as a boss, as a king, what happens? He gets flagged. He gets pushback. And a lot of times from the people in his own household. And this shouldn't be. That's against the order. How can we build community on weakness? Our men have to be strong. Our men have to be commanders. He said he chose Abraham based on the simple fact that he would command his house and he wouldn't accept anything less. So when we take that position, what happens? We make enemy. We get enemies. Enemies are created in our own home. Shouldn't be that way.
Well, that's because everybody's not in agreement with the Most High. Everybody's not walking with the Almighty. And so when we get married, we have to make sure that we vet the individuals that we're seeking to marry. We have to vet them really, really good. The Almighty's already let us know that he's already cursed our blessings because he know the way we are now. We get plenty of blessings and we appreciate those blessings. But imagine if he hadn't already even cursed our blessings could be even greater, but we don't want to be a greater people.
That's the problem.
We're playing. We're being two-faced. So what we need to do is pick a side and stick with the side that we pick. We can't continually be hypocrites. See, I think in relationships, everybody involved in that relationship, the male and the female, need to be held accountable. And they should desire for their mate to hold them accountable.
Without getting angry.
And if you don't want to be held accountable, you shouldn't be married. Period. You shouldn't be married. Because if as a man with a traditional mindset,
right, and
I was paying the mortgage before I got married, but my woman made me mad, my wife made me mad, and I decided I ain't gonna pay the mortgage. How big a fool can I be? That's something that I need to do anyway.
Talk about
if I say I'm not gonna buy no more food, hell, I still gotta eat.
Talk about it.
So I don't know, man. This system is just watered down to people to where the people are just so weak now that at the first crack of some kind of situation in a relationship, then somebody's ready to run. And I have to say this, and I'm gonna keep it a buck. 70 to 90% of women, they're the ones who initiate divorces and walk away from marriages. 70 to 90%. And that's a daggone shame because that's not what a man generally would be doing. A man will endure a whole bunch of stuff to keep his household together. And that's just a fact. So ladies, we got to get back to the point to where we putting the Most High first. You have to get to the point to where you're respecting your husbands. When you signed up to be married with this man, then you're under the guidelines of the Most High Yah. And the Most High told that woman in Genesis, the 3rd chapter, the 16th verse, that your desire should be to your husband and that he was going to rule over you. So if you don't allow that, then you're boxing with Yah and you're not going to win. And a lot of times women and men wonder why their life is not going the way that they wanted to go. Is because we're out of order. We're out of order. Again, we were told to learn to do well, but in a lot of cases, we just don't want to get out there and make changes, because when we change, then we know more things are required of us, and it should be that way. We're supposed to be an example for our children. Now, if we want our children to be successful, we got to be the roadmap. They need to be able to look at us and say, now that's how I want to be.
Exactly. And we not, a lot of parents, I don't want to target the mothers too much, but a lot of this
We got to tell the truth.
yeah, we do have to tell the truth, because a lot of mothers is messing their children up.
So we gonna talk about
Yeah,
it.
a lot of mothers is messing their children up, and
We
you know,
say some
and
people
I
get
can,
mad for hearing the truth, then they should want to change.
yeah, and I can say this because I know how influential a mother is in the household. And fortunately for me, I had a mother that influenced me to do what thus saith Yah. But
Praise
you know
Yah.
what a lot of mothers are doing today? They're teaching their daughters to go off what thus saith their emotions. Right? Women are very, and the Almighty the Almighty made our sisters very, very influential within the house and with the outside of the house, and that's because they're beautiful, you know what I mean? A lot of, it's a lot of factors that go into that, but we cannot take away the fact that women are very, very influential. Men are more influential when we rise up and step into our role, and we understand, and we develop that relationship with the Almighty. We actually become more influential. But at a base level, when a man, especially a black man, when he's been removed from his creator, that relationship has been, has been broken between him and his creator. He loses his influence. And that's what's happening today. Now, a lot of the mothers are influencing their children to go off their emotions. Those private conversations they have with their children, if there was a fly on the wall, you will see a lot of treachery is being done against the laws of Yah.
I got to say,
Against the laws of Yah.
you are
Yes.
telling the truth.
Yeah.
You're telling the truth. But here's the thing that I notice about good men. Good men.
Right.
Good men hold other men accountable.
That's-
I want you to hold me accountable, and you want me to hold you accountable. And that's how we keep that order. But see, good women, or women, should I say, for the most part, not like so. Because again, those emotions flutter and they get all over the place. And so they go with one another's emotions.
That's right.
And we can't do that. It's not going to be for the benefit. It'll be for the detriment of that relationship. Because foolish things are done when a person don't allow those emotions to cool down before they make decisions. They make decisions in haste, and then they just mess up a whole lot of things.
Even before you have a conversation with your daughter, make sure that you calm down first, because, or your son as well, because they're counseling the sons wrong as well.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? A lot of this is just super out of order, but we have to be very mindful as parents what we say to our children, because it's gonna influence them for the rest of their life. You as a parent, the Almighty's 5th commandment is dedicated to parents, and that's to honor your mother and your father, that your days may be long. But if you're a parent that's not counseling and giving advice to your children according to what's right in the eyes of God and the eyes of the Most High, how could you consider yourself a good parent?
I got to speak on that. That 5th commandment, going to the parents. That's the only commandment that I can see that actually came with a promise.
Yeah.
That your days may be long, that the Almighty gonna give you more time. But see, he didn't put a cap on that time that you're supposed to honor him. He said, honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which Yah our Elohim giveth us. That means you honor your father and your mother in life and in death. Because they can look at me and say, ain't that Ralph's son? Ain't that Christine's son?
There it is.
You see, and they can be deceased already, but they still know where I came from. You see what I'm saying? So there's no time limit put on, like if my mother's deceased, then I should stop. Now I'm going to talk about her like a dog. No. I don't have any reason or any right. If a parent ever done anything wrong in dealing with me, they answer to the Almighty. It is not my responsibility, nor should I even consider trying to chastise my parents. And there's so much of that foolery going on in these modern times that our young folk don't know what they're doing. They're destroying themselves. Yeah. And then you have people whose relationships didn't work out. So you have some mothers telling their children, your daddy ain't shit, or and all these different things. Your daddy don't love you and all these. And it might be that this woman ran this man away. It could be that this man been trying to get in touch with his children, writing letters, all kinds of things, but the child never got those things. But when the child found out what the truth is, it's going to be a price to pay. Yeah. So we have to be an example for our youth. I can't say this enough. We got to be a good example. Men, hold other men accountable. Ladies, stop letting those emotions run with you and correct your friends, because see, you're not a real friend if you don't correct your friend when they're out of order. Period. We are supposed to be our brother's keeper. We're not allowed to allow our emotions to dictate what we're going to do or how we're going to go about doing it. Because when it comes to dealing with the Most High Yah, he wants us to be right. We can't walk with him unless we be agreed. Scripture says, can two walk together unless they be agreed? If we're supposed to be walking with Yah, we're walking with him. That means we're going in the same direction. Now, if I'm going this way and Yah's going this way, then now I'm going against my maker. I'm a big fool. Yeah. So we got to do things right. I'm serious about this. I'm passionate. I know it sounds like I'm angry. I promise y'all I'm not angry. I just decided a long time ago I'm not changing my walk. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to double down on my walk. And if I got to walk this walk by myself, damn it, that's what I'm going to do. So, hallelujah. Let's keep it going here.
Yeah. That's good, but even in the slightest ways, when we go against the Most High and his ordinances and his laws, it's all we doing is just showing we disloyal to the Almighty, and I judge every woman based on their relationship with the Most High. I don't care how much, what you come from, what you got, who you are. I don't care how long I've known you. I'm judging you based on how you keep them laws and how loyal are you to that covenant, those covenants and those laws that he have given us. Because I have a role, you have a role to play. Everybody that's awoken up to this truth not only has a role to play within their own house, but they have a role to play within the community. So even if I never find, right, I never find a wife, I'm still obligated to serve my creator. If the Almighty never blessed me with a wife, I still have to do what I have to do for myself and for my children and for my nation. So, we have to get back to being team players. We don't want to be team players. We want to be individualistic. And that's why we so far behind as a nation. When you look at all these other nations, Latino communities, European communities, they understand the art of working together as a team, right? We work together as individuals, even in our relationships. Like you said, it's all about what can I get out of the relationship? What can you do for me?
That's what it's about.
Yeah, it's all about I. It should be about us. It should be about the team. It should be about the nation. It should be about the Most High. I'm a team player, so anybody that rock with me, they got to be a team player.
All right, that's my segue right there.
Yeah.
That's my segue. I'm getting ready to get a little deep.
Yes, sir.
And some people, again, may get offended. This is not to offend anyone, I assure you. But I see the masses doing this. And so I'm going to say something here. And any woman that's online, please respond. Give me some feedback. Tell me if it's just me, if I done lost my mind by asking this and making this statement and asking this question. There's some things that I wrote down because a lot of guys are talking about they would rather see, and I agree, would rather see a woman in her natural beauty. So I've said something before. Let me paraphrase by something that I've written down. And titled it "A Lost People." Now, I know everybody's situation is a little bit different, but I do know that once somebody does something, if somebody else finds it favorable, then things just start to become a trend. And that trend just goes from one end of the spectrum to the next. But a lot of guys, we see things differently. Now, this is just basic, and this is speaking on behalf of men. Ladies, men love to see women in their natural state of beauty. The Almighty said he made us in his image and in his likeness. The Most High had that thick, woolly hair and whatnot. I shouldn't say had, has. Let me keep that in the present tense. But most, again, not all, but most black women here today, here in the West, they fight against it. The average man would rather see a woman in her natural beauty. But we see women who wear hair that don't look anything like us. It looks like them. And I know a lot of times when they would look in the magazines and things, black women tend to look at whiteness as the essence of beauty. And so when they put on the long fingernails, the stiletto nails and the eyelashes and the weave and all this, but yet and still they'll go around telling one another they hate fake people. You know, when they fall out with another female or something, they'll call her fake. But then a lot of stuff that they have on is fake. And I told the guy, other men, who would say things to me about that. I say, well, talk to your woman about it and tell her, like, when you first met her, she was wearing all those things, but you always wondered what she looked like in her natural beauty, and asked her if she'll remove all those things just so you can see what she actually looks like. And a lot of guys are afraid to do it. They're afraid to do it because they know it's going to present an argument. But the Almighty, and they'll say things like, the opposite, white folks always try to copy off of them and want to look like them. And I've seen this on numerous occasions because, like I say, I work in the area where there's an abundance of females, young and old. And it seems like for the most part, they're all wearing their weave. They're all wearing the nails. They're all wearing the makeup. And I'm talking about from 7th grade. This is ridiculous. From 7th grade on up into the older people. And so it's like, they've lost their own culture and taken on someone else's culture. And when you see people with the purple hair and the red hair and all this, I noticed that when they change hair, it's like their personality change. It's like the fellas are dealing with somebody else. If you ever noticed, I'll give you an example. There was a young lady, she would always have her hair she was with her natural hair, but she wasn't keeping it up, right? When she went and got that other hair put in her head, now she became a completely different person, had a bigger attitude and always playing with her hair and all this type of stuff. We got to get back to the people that we're supposed to be. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to dictate how anybody make their appearance. I'm just saying, I don't want us to forget about the Almighty said that he made us perfect. He made us in his image and in his likeness. And I guarantee you, when a black man sees a black woman and she's in her natural beauty, oh my goodness, that's a sight to behold, whether she has locks or she just using her regular hair and not. Moray Dan used to say, if you take a white woman and put her in the front seat of a car and you put a collie dog in the front seat on the other side and you standing back behind the car, you look in, you can't tell which was which. And I ain't trying to be funny because Moray Dan was a great teacher. So he would say certain things that would make us just consider. And I do understand, you might have somebody who have a burn victim or whatever, and they doing whatever it is that they want to do, wearing makeup, wigs, whatever. But I'm just saying, for the most part, we see things that are trending and we're getting away from the people that we are. And I've noticed it myself. When I see somebody and they change the color of their hair or whatnot, their personality change. When they go to a different weave, their personality change. When they put on them big butterfly, caterpillar looking eyelashes that's out here that's rubbing up against the daggone glasses that they're wearing. That's for me. That's just, and I'm blessed. Mine don't do that or whatnot. But I know to each his own, so I'm not really knocking it. I'm just saying, ladies, do you think that sometimes it might be a little overkill in there? Because you could be chasing away a blessing. It could be somebody who like you, but they don't want to say anything about it. But I'm an older guy, so I'll say something about it on behalf of all men. Because we didn't ask y'all to go out and get them them eyelashes and things is out there that look like you can fly away with. And if that's not you, don't get upset. And if it is you, don't get upset because I'm just an older person expressing myself. You know, guys would much rather see you in your natural state with your own nails. Now, granted, there's some women that stuff looks good on you, but it's not you. It's a part of, if you want it to be, I mean, I don't pay for it, so you do your own thing. I'm not trying to knock nobody. But what I am saying, let's get back to the people that we are. Let's get our confidence from the Most High Yah. Let's build ourselves up that way. And then we can still save some money as well, because these are hard times. And there's guys out here chasing after women, and the women saying, hey, I need you to get my hair and my nails done and all that. That's some personal stuff that a woman should be taking care of herself. If that, you know what I'm saying? If those are the things she want to do, those are personal things that needs to be done.
Yeah, it's part of it's part of the cycle. It's part of the plantation. It's psychological warfare. They see all of they see the Cardi B's, the Megs, the what's her name, the Glorillas, and the Sexy Reds, and all of these folks of the Kim Kardashian. They see all these people that have been set up, and that's been these glorified slaves that has been put before our children to influence them to go out and do these things. Hair slay, nail slay, all that stuff. But we have to keep in mind, and I'm very big on preparation. I know you are. One day we're gonna be in the wilderness, and you ain't gonna have nails and all of the weeds and all of that stuff. No, you're gonna have to come as you are, as your natural self. And what's wrong with your natural self? I agree with the elder. I'm more attracted to a natural woman. Most of the women, all the women I've been with, they've been natural. All of them.
Hey, that's a beautiful.
None of them wear weave. None of them. You know what I mean? So
that way we're in the image of our.
We in the image of the Creator. That's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So how would they feel if a man went out and did those things?
Some men are.
What men used to straighten their hair, put perms in their hair back in the day?
Some men walking around here with nail polish on, wearing
Right.
daggone women's jeans and everything. It's like, and all this is by design. And I just need the people to be really conscious of what's really going on right in front of their face. They're saying that females can go get certain things done and they don't have to get their parents' consent and all this. And they trying to make the boys girls and the girls boys. And they doing a pretty daggone job, a good job of making it happen too. And like parents don't have the rights that they're supposed to have, because the parents are supposed to raise their children. The system is not supposed to be raising the children. And it's a daggone shame the things that's actually going on today, but I'm not worried about being canceled. I'm going to tell the truth and glorify the Almighty, and I don't care who like it or not. That's just, it's got, if we're not going to stand for the Most High, we're going to fall for any and everything, period.
Believe it. Yes, sir.
Let's see what else I got here. Oh, I know one thing I wanted to say. I see a lot of guys out here chasing these women, and I'm talking about in hot pursuit constantly. And the women are actually showing them that they really not trying to deal with them, but these guys are not really giving up. And so some of these women, once they see that these guys are just in hot pursuit of them, you know what these women do? They give in. And then you know what happened? Now they start dictating to that guy that wouldn't leave them alone, that kept chasing them, right? And so now they took all the power from the guy. The guy, he's the slave to that woman. And because he thought she had a big behind, or she looked good, or this, that, and the other. Now they paying for it. Now they paying for it.
Yeah.
So never chase a woman, because what you do when you do that, you're giving her all your power. You done showed your weakness. And at that particular point in time, now she gonna exploit that daggone weakness. Period. And it ain't gonna let up, and you're gonna regret it, because it ain't gonna stop after that point.
Yeah. Nah, good. I'm glad you brought that up too. Because a lot of people, and that's also a part of the warfare too. Like when you look at a lot of these old like shows, black shows, you always see the man. In some cases, he's giving his power into the woman. Mm-hmm. He's chasing the woman, chasing this woman, chasing that woman. Oh, they going all crazy and stuff, acting the fool. You see this, and it's going to me and mine that they got to do this with women. Nah, man, don't ever chase no woman. Ever chase no woman. Oh man, listen, if a woman like you, she you ain't got to chase her, bro. She She gonna meet you there, or she gonna come to you. Meet you at where come to you, but don't, because like you said, you giving away your power, and what that's gonna allow her to do when you do get her, she's gonna be manipulating the hell out you.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. If a man allows himself to be a sucker, then he's gonna get licked. He's gonna be a lick.
Oh yeah,
it's
use
as
the right
simple as
word.
that. Let's go over here and see what these comments are we got here.
Oh yeah, they said okay.
Now, first of all, let me ask you a question. Ladies, did I say anything that offended our beautiful women out there? Because again, I'm only trying to get us to consider. I am not trying to disrespect anybody. I'm just calling it like it is. I'm an older guy, so I don't have a problem speaking up for some of the young folks. Like I say, I talk to a lot of guys, and then I do a lot of research. And like another thing that I found out, according to all the guys I talk to and everything that's online, anytime something goes wrong in a relationship, it's always said that it's the man's fault. Always, 100% of the time. And we know that that's not the case. We know that's not the case. And I got to say this. All the good men that's out there that might be listening or that might visit this podcast, hold yourself accountable. Allow the people in your circle to hold you accountable, and likewise you help hold them accountable, because iron sharpens iron and we want the best, right? But ladies, I need you guys to start doing a lot more self-evaluation, because we've all been bruised. Women aren't the only ones who come from trauma. Men come from trauma as well. But men are always expected to hold it together and be right. Accountability is a two-way street. There's two lanes in accountability. The lane that's going this way and the lane that's coming that way. So we all got to do our part to be the best servant that we can be. The Almighty don't want us dealing treacherously with one another. But then again, we're dealing treacherously with him. So why wouldn't we deal treacherously with one another? But it shouldn't be that way, right? So this is good. This is really good. We want you guys to keep making comments, and you can even tell us little short stories about what's going on with you, or if you need us to respond to a particular situation or anything, or either give spiritual advice or whatnot, about particular situations. Feel free to inquire about it. We love what we do, and our thing is to try to help build relationships, and we got to get rid of this boyfriend, girlfriend type mentality. Because ladies, if a guy done been with you for 10 years and he ain't asked you to marry him, or you got a long engagement, this man is not trying to marry you. For whatever reason, 10 years should prove already that, well, it depending on the relationship, that you ain't just trying to set him up, and over a period of time you're just going to take him to the cleaners if he got some good resources or whatever. But we just got to deal righteously with one another, and we got to want to be right. And remember, we're supposed to be building together. We can't have relationships where one person's always just a giver and the other person just always receiving and not reciprocating. I know I asked a question earlier, but a good woman, or if there's more than one online right now, type in some things that a good woman should be willing to bring into her marriage. Queen, you can respond, and anybody else out there, please respond, because I want to get a good idea. I already know, but so many people outside of sex, that's the only thing that they're willing to bring. I see things, and I know you guys can get out there and probably done some of the research yourself. A woman says she ain't paying no bills. She says she want a man to pay everything. Now, keep in mind, she's a modern woman, but she wants a traditional man. Make that make sense? In other words, she want to be the recipient of getting things, but don't want to give. And guys, if you fall for that just because you think she look good and everything she got on is fake anyway, a fake face, all that makeup on there, fake eyelashes, fake contact colored lenses and everything, and you being a sucker because you believe that she's beautiful. I'm going to put it this way, and this ain't, no, I ain't even going to say that because some people might take offense to it and it's not meant that way. You know, it's definitely not meant that
She
way.
she did ask a question. She said, "Are Hebrew men too hard on their wives?"
Some may be. Some may be hard on their wives. And the thing about it is, understand this right here. We have to see, and everybody's relationship is their own. Let me use myself for an example here. My wife might think that I'm hard on her, but I swear to you, in the sight of the Most High, I really only want the best for my wife. I only want blessings to come into our home. And by me knowing the nature of women, and women know the nature of women, everything ain't gonna always be the way that it should be. I don't think that I'm hard, but I'm just saying my wife might think that I'm hard on her. I'm a man who wants to govern my household. I love my wife. I appreciate all the things that my wife does. So let's not, I don't want to be any misunderstanding about that. But like I say, I'm going hard for y'all. And I know every man is going to govern his house according to the way that he wants to govern it. But I tell you what, I'm second in command in my house. The Most High, he leads the way. So I'm definitely not trying to be out of order in the way that I command my household. So hell, if I had a dog, the dog might think that I'm hard. I don't know. You know.
You know, it's not that we hard. Like he said, we just want the best. You know, I don't think a man's intention is to straight dog his wife out and treat her like crap. You know, it's just that when you love somebody, the scriptures say open rebuke is better than secret love. So a lot of times, you know, maybe our approach may be a little, you know, a little bit, you know, a little assertive, but you know, for the most part, I'm just speaking on my behalf. You know, if I am too hard, I do try to balance it out with softness. You know what I'm saying? Balance it out with being nice and kind and laughing and flirting and all of those things. But when it come to matters that's serious, like these laws, oh yeah, we got to be hard when it come to that because it ain't no wavering. Ain't no wavering. Nah.
So I agree with that because I only want the best for mine. I only want the best for my household, period.
Yeah.
And like you say, when it comes to those laws, and I know we all make our errors, and you know, I'm definitely trying to lighten up because I don't want to come across as some tyrant or something like that because that's not even a thought in my mind. I just want the best for my household. I want blessings to come in because I know if a man's house is out of order, especially a married man, if his house is out of order, the Almighty looks at that man.
Oh, yeah.
Period. He looks at that man. And men, we got to stand up for the Most High Yah. And remember, when Solomon he checked, he said, out of 1,000, out of 1,000 men, he found one good one. He said, but out of all the women, he found how many? Not any. Not any. So just keeping those things in its right perspective. My thing is, like I said, I got more years most likely behind me than I have left in front of me. And so I'm determined to try to make up for lost time because there's been plenty of times when I played the role of a fool. And a fool is just a very unwise or a silly person. I was unwise about a lot of things growing up. And like I told Kingman, I said this earlier, I do believe on this podcast today. You know, once we get up at around the age of 30 years old or so, if we really honest with ourselves, if we really consider and think back, we'll realize we didn't know half the stuff that we thought we knew. Oh, so as we get older, it's imperative that we get wiser and then utilize that wisdom because wisdom can save our behinds. Wisdom can be a good defense. Really. I'd rather use wisdom than have to use some money for a defense attorney. So,
You got another question too when you're ready for it.
What's that question?
She asked, do you think women want men to pay all the bills because they financially helped men in the past with no benefit? Now they don't want to help pay for anything?
That might be the case in some relationship, but that wouldn't be the standard. The standard that for the day is you have to go with the modern times, you know, and modern times dictate according to the women because remember, they've been trying to overturn, which will never happen, the patriarchy and make it a matriarchy. But the Most High, he's the one who established it, if you want to call it a patriarchy. So, you know, it's like in a lot of cases, people just don't want to agree with the other party. And in this case, a lot of women say men ain't good for nothing, but this, that, and the other, paying bills and all kinds of stuff. And a lot of this stuff comes from men and women not having the appropriate communication skills. They need to be able to talk, but not only talk, we both genders have to learn to listen so that we can respond appropriately. But I think some women in the past may have did some things for somebody else, and now they're looking for somebody to do something back for them. But a good man, especially a man that's married with his woman, if he has the right mindset, if he's a traditional man, he's not going to have a problem with taking on certain responsibilities. Now, he may pay all the major bills and just have that wife pay like the internet bill or something like that, a couple of little minor bills or something. But for the most part, that man know he's going to be carrying the load. You know, a lot of times women, they will work and their money is their money and they say his money is y'all's money. So, but I'm not going to dip off it in nobody else's business. I do know every situation can be different. But when you have a traditional man, he knows that he's going to be taking on the bulk of the responsibility. He was taking on the bulk of the responsibility before he got her, especially if he had his own place prior to that. If he had his own house or his own apartment, he had his own car, you know, he still had to pay the gas and electric, the water or whatever. He's going to do that anyway. So it's supposed to be to the point to where she can help him and they can build together. But Queen, do you believe that a woman should be willing to receive instruction from her husband as to how he needs her to be his helpmeet? Because in some relationships, a woman will do whatever she thinks she wants to do, and it might not be the thing that he needs to actually help in that relationship. So I think a lot of times women need to consider, if you're going to be his helpmeet, listen to what he needs you to help him with. That way you'll be doing those things that's going to be more appreciated. What do you feel about that? Hallelujah. And you know, I'm really looking so forward to meeting you. You seem like a great person. You seem like you got a lot of wisdom. King been telling me about you for the longest. I'm waiting on you to get on this podcast.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get her rolling probably this week. Actually, she's gonna be having a segment for the women on there as well. So we're gonna find a way to collaborate, do some collaborations and everything. She had one last question too. She said, "What's an appropriate percentage for a woman to pay?"
Well, see, that depends because let me tell you how you can, even with modern people, they can go 50-50 and it still be a balance. If the guy, he already was paying the mortgage or whatnot, or the rent, and he was already paying the gas and electric, this, that, and the other. But say he had some internet or he had some cable, say he had an alarm on the house, she could pay the smaller bills, and he paid the bigger bills. Even though she might pay a lesser amount, she's still taking care of all those things, and he's paying the greater amount. He's taking care of those things. It depends on how the particular individuals want to fix that up. I do believe, though, that as a traditional man, a man is responsible for taking care of the food and the shelter and things, you know, even their clothing. But I know in a lot of cases with today's modern women, a lot of times she might not like the clothes that he might pick out for him. He's traditional, you know. So she say, "Don't you worry about that. I buy my own clothes."
For sure. Yeah. So, anything else we want to bring out?
No, it seems good. I thought you had somebody behind me.
Oh yeah. He should be here in a minute.
Okay, I think this was. What y'all think? Did we give any valuable information? Type it in. Is there some things that you would like us to talk about during the particular podcast? We're talking about marriage and relationships. Something that maybe we hadn't gotten to yet that you want us to respond to. We definitely don't have a problem doing that.
Please leave a comment.
Like and subscribe, y'all. Tap into the next podcast coming up too, and the next one after that, and we got some more coming up after that, and we're gonna keep on building. Praise y'all. If you have else, any other comments out there, go ahead and list it. If not, we're gonna go ahead and shut it down, y'all.
Share this link. Share this link. Make it a topic of conversation. talk to some people and have some people talk to some people, and let's get some information, get it back to us, and tell us how we doing. All right.
Hallelujah. Thank you for tapping in. Shalom.